Hello and welcome to another video from the only source of information that you need to not only survive the current apocalypse but actually enjoy it. And today I've got something very special for you, a video interview with Wanda and Danny at the Deep South Homestead. Now the way that this all came about is I uploaded a video of me out here with these beautiful live oaks and they recognize them. See, live oaks don't grow everywhere. And at the time I wasn't telling people where I lived or who I was. So they kind of figured out that I had to be close by, and they asked me, and I told them, yeah, I live just south of you. And they said, well, we'd like to get together with you. We have our own channel. We'd like to, meet and talk and maybe video it. I said, that sounds like a very good idea, but right now I don't have any equipment. My camera's not working right. My computers are too slow to do any video editing, and I don't have the right kind of software. I don't have a good audio recorder. But the day came when I had all of that stuff in place. And in fact, the day I went up there was the first time that I ever used all of my nice new stuff. The problem was that when I got home, it was so difficult for me to figure out how to put everything together that after I produced 2 videos of a tour I took of their property, I just gave out. And I put everything in the computer for a later date after I had figured everything out. Well, got a message the other day saying that my computer's hard drive was getting full and I needed to remove some unnecessary files. So I started going through and throwing everything away. And lucky for you, I found this footage that I had never edited. So today, you get to see an interview that I did with Danny and Wanda about 2 years ago at the Deep South Homestead. Hello and welcome to another video from the only channel that you need to not only survive the current apocalypse but actually enjoy it. And today I'm talking with Wanda and Danny from Deep South Homestead, a very popular YouTube channel, getting more and more popular every day. And most of all, the best part is they're my neighbors. I didn't know it, they found me, I found them, and so here we are together. Alright, so anyways, let me ask y'all, what got y'all to doing YouTube videos? How did that come about? Wait a second, you ain't even supposed to answer this, I don't think, because she was telling me earlier some things about how you didn't even want anybody knowing any of your business when this
well we just let her answer this one then. Be a good blooper.
Yeah, well really, I never watched YouTube. I didn't even pay any attention, and he would watch limited YouTube channels, one every, maybe even 2 or 3 months. And then, less than 2 years ago, we started watching your channel, 3 or 4 others, and most of them are homesteading channels. And then ever so often he'd branch out and he would go find a new channel, looking at it, and a lot of them were giving out false information, or they didn't know what they were doing or whatever, and he goes, I can do this. So he decided, let me videotape, and we videotaped, did a few here and there, and we started December of 2015.
Yep.
We've been going a little over a year, and it's been pretty awesome. We just skyrocketed because people want knowledge, and he does in-depth, and he tries to put every detail into his videos that he can think of because people leave so many details out.
One thing I realized is that, and y'all are in the same boat as me, I think. I don't know everything about your equipment, but I started this with a $15 camera.
Yep.
And was putting out some really poor quality videos, but the things I was saying was enough to get people listening to me.
That's what we had.
Yeah, same thing.
And somehow, we're sitting up here now with $2 million cameras.
That's what I'm talking about, yeah.
So
we got more camera than we know what to do with.
And that's actually the truth. I was saying on the way over here, it's like, man, for me to test out a camera, I should have done this in my house.
Yeah.
If I have a problem, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
I'm driving all the way across the county to set up a camera and figure out how it works.
Right.
Let's hope it all works.
Yeah,
it's going to work. I mean, it's going to work. That's not.
And for anybody out there, we're running 2 cameras right now, so whichever camera don't work, we'll salvage a video off the other one.
Yeah, and if you catch our eyes flipping from one side to the other, it's not that we're actually looking at somebody. We're actually looking at 2 different cameras there.
Hey, it's this bad. I got the reason I got my camera. One of the big draws to it was that it has a flip around screen, so you can do selfies.
Yeah.
And I just got finished setting the thing up, and I had to walk around a few times to see if it was working before Wanda says, "Don't that screen flip around."
I thought about that myself. I didn't say anything.
So, anyways, once you and what now we're ready to listen to you explain what got you into YouTube.
To elaborate a little bit more on what Wanda started saying there, she was exactly right. I looked at YouTube and I would tell her, I was like, what are these people doing? They have no clue about what they're talking about. And I looked at all the subscribers that they had. I looked at all the views that they had. And I told her, I said, how can this be? And then the ones I did find that actually knew something about what they were talking about, they were leaving out so many steps of everything. But I told her, I said, I don't think I can do YouTube because I don't want anybody to know anything about me. Because I've always been a prepper or a survivor. And you can ask my kids, and when they see this video, they'll go, yep, that's Dad. I didn't want anybody knowing anything. I hate electronics. Literally, I cannot stand electronics. I didn't even want a computer in my house. I didn't want any of that stuff in my house. I didn't like cell phones. I didn't like any of that stuff. But it come to a point, it's like there was this tug on my shoulder right here, and it was God saying, I need you. Mm-hmm. And I need you to do something. But we talked, because see, I ran a very successful business, and I had a multi-million-dollar man teach me how to do business. And one of the things he taught me was, don't ever mention religion or politics, or you'll fall flat on your face. Well, I ran 3 different companies, and I followed that advice, very successful. We got to YouTube. She looked at me and she goes, do not mention religion. Do not talk about politics.
Yeah, the thing about it, when your check was dependent on it, it was a different deal.
Yeah.
Now all you're going to get is some nasty comments.
Right. So we're sitting here and I'm like, okay, I won't. So we made a couple of videos, throwed them out there, and all of a sudden the comments started coming back. Everybody's like, well, God bless you, and man, we'll be praying for you, and all this kind of stuff. And we kind of like looked at one another. It's like, people's actually mentioning religious things on here? So I told her, I said, let me test the waters. So every time I did a video, I would make a biblical comment. And then all of a sudden, people's going like, Dan, would you just teach us? Would you start doing this? And would you start doing that? And we was like, you know what? We're going to bring God into every video.
And we relate our gardening stuff into biblical stuff as much as possible.
You know, a lot of it is trying to find your audience, because I was telling you earlier that I had my own channel at one time. And it was in my name, is what I meant. I had my own channel, my own name. And I'd get on there and make videos very similar to what I make now, where I'm talking about the Bible.
Right.
And the channel was shared with my Facebook, which meant all my high school alumni.
Oh, yeah.
All my Navy buddies, all my people I met at family reunions. So I had, 1,000 people watching my videos the very first day. I got 1,000 hate mails. Because you're just giving it to everybody. It doesn't work. But when you make yourself a channel, it's called the anti-patriot, pro-Bible channel, then those people ain't even going to go there.
Right.
You know, they're looking for somebody to tell them about, who won Dancing with the Stars or something. So, so you get that way, you get your audience, and you're not just throwing it out there for all of the sharks.
Yeah. Well, the same thing with us. When we're out here now, we realize that there's 7 billion plus people on the face of the earth. 6-point-something billion of them have a cell phone or a computer. So there's enough people to go around for everybody, and there's enough people out there that's interested in what you've got to say. Mm-hmm. And that's why I told her, I said, look.
They may not be interested in us. They may be interested in you.
Yeah.
And then they may be interested in this guy or this guy. So there's enough people for
everybody. And look, there's going to be an audience for me. If I was to sit here and start talking about pet rocks today.
Yeah, somebody somewhere.
Somebody somewhere is going to go, oh my God, there's actually somebody out there who does that.
And you may even find out that, as you're looking over your statistics at the end of the month when YouTube sends all that to you, that you got 1 million hits on that video and none on the rest.
Right.
You can change yourself to the Pet Rock station.
That's it. Yeah, we would. It's just amazing.
Happens all the time.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the reasons we actually opened up our second channel. Was we were doing strictly homesteading, and the people got to wanting me to talk about religion so much that I started talking about religion. I have a every Tuesday I have a porch time comes out, and people wait for that. And when that porch time come out, I was mentioning God or mentioning a lot about religion, and then I started getting a lot of hate stuff in it because people go, well, I come here to watch homesteading. I ain't coming here to watch the Bible and stuff like that. So I told her, I said, you know what? We're large enough now. It's time for me to start a new channel. I said, I'll still mention some religious stuff on our regular homesteading channel because there's no way I can talk about homesteading and not bring God into it because of creation. I mean, I just have to.
Look, I had a guy that started an anti-sustenance and covering channel one time, and he actually made a video where he said he quoted me to embarrass me.
Yeah.
And the quote was, all his homesteading videos are just a hook that he gets to get people in so then he can teach them his Bible stuff. I'm like, well, obviously, because people that realize the world ain't going on forever and they realize that consumerism is not the coin of the realm,
Exactly.
they're going to say, well, let's go here, and they're going to be open to it.
Right.
You know, I'm not ashamed of that.
No,
I eat oranges off a tree, you know, that's part of the Bible.
Part of the Bible.
People that don't believe in the Bible are going to go to Walmart and get an orange.
Exactly, or go get an animal from Walmart to eat that wasn't harmed.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, no animal was harmed in that meat.
Oh, yeah, you go out there, you know, the animal rights activists will go into a store and buy a can of chili off the shelf.
Yeah.
But if they hear that you killed a chicken,
Yes.
then they're suddenly, they're righteous.
They're righteous, yeah, because it's amazing. I mean, you get all types on these channels. But luckily, at Deep South Homestead, we have a real great audience at this time. Now, we have one fly in every now and then that
Wants to create.
that wants to create some drama, and that's what the delete button's for.
Yeah, why did it even bother? Just press delete,
move on.
And they'll be just pulling their hair out because they didn't get you to respond. But if they get you to go back and say anything, they're so excited, and then they go on to the next guy, you know. Or if no one else is listening to them, they'll just keep hitting you.
Well, actually, I'll be honest with you, I don't mind the thumbs down. I'm actually shooting for 10 per video. If I can get 10 thumbs down per video, I feel like I'm reaching the other side, because if you're giving me a thumbs down, you watched.
You know, you said you started a separate channel.
Yeah.
Okay, so you went through a process of trying to decide whether just to have a separate playlist or to make a completely different channel, and if you're going to put the channel under a different email address or a different. So, what was that process like? Why did you decide to do what you did do?
I decided to do the other channel just simply because I got tired of the drama on Deep South Homestead. Because the people we have on Deep South Homestead are good people. Most of them are good, godly people. So I told her, I said, why not start this other channel? Because then our people have a place to go where I can just go ahead and say, look, this is what the Bible says, and just do a point-blank video. I don't have to try to sugarcoat anything to cover up anything. I can just tell it like it is. And this audience is willing to listen. They don't give me no bad reviews. Most of them don't. Occasionally one still flies in, but that's just because they were surfing through the web and found it. And then there are those people out there who are just paid by the government to do that.
Yeah, I believe that too. I mean, even if they're not paid by the government, whichever demons possess the governmental rulers, their sub-demons are possessing these people.
Yeah, just to go out there, if it's nothing else, they just go on there and go, I hate thing, you know, whatever. And I'm okay with some things, but the predominant reason we did the other channel was just simply because I want to be able to just sit down with the Bible open in front of me and say, this is what it says. You know, I don't want to, do we have it separate from our channel? Yes, it's separate, completely separate from Deep South Homestead. But I told people on Deep South Homestead that I'm creating this channel, and if you want to be a part of it and you want to see the Bible in depth or something like that, then go to this channel and subscribe to it.
And you know what's really weird is the ones that don't want to see that will still go there and still complain.
Yeah, they'll still complain.
The whole point of reason that you throw at them is, what made you think Matthew chapter 3:16 was the title of a food video?
Right, yeah.
We had to do that with a video when he was butchering a deer.
Yes.
Where he was skinning and desecrating a deer. We put a warning label up to start with because people will click on and then they'll give ugly comments because they did not want to see that. So we put a warning label up, and we have a lot of people say, thank you for doing that, because when I saw that, I just clicked back out. You know, but the title was Skinning and Desecrating a Deer.
Yeah, warning,
So-
graphic content, skinning and desecrating a deer.
You don't want to click on that. I wouldn't. If I see that, I just keep scrolling.
I don't want to watch it either. I don't make
No.
videos like that because I mean, honest to God, I have. You know how you sometimes when you butcher something, you have a bad kill, like you go to shoot
Oh,
them
yeah,
and you
yeah,
wound
you-
them.
Yeah.
I can remember just killing animals and not killing them, and they're wounded and suffering and kicking and just start crying, man.
Yeah.
So I certainly don't want to see. It's not entertaining
Right.
for me, and in
Right.
fact, one of the main reasons I don't make it is because I know that people who are entertained by that will go watch it.
Yeah.
So you know,
Yeah, we did it strictly as a homesteading thing, showing that on a homestead,
You have
should
to-
there, and I don't use. You'll if you're around me very long, you'll understand. I don't use the word end of the world. I don't use the word you know, doom and gloom days. I use the word life-changing event, because when I say life-changing event takes place, then that can be physical. Something physical could happen to you. That could be something natural. There could be a tornado. There could be a hurricane. Or God could step in and do something. It could be a lot of different ways. The end of the world could come, and it's still a life-changing event. So I use that phrase, and people seem to respond to that.
it makes sense. That's a lot better. That is better because honestly, you know, people are all the and I'm kind of a smart aleck, but people ask me every now and then, when do you think the end of the world is coming? I said, well, the first time was when Eve took a bite out of that piece of fruit.
Yep.
And they may not have understood immediately, but when Abel died, that would have been a life. You know, that would have been the end of the world for them.
Yeah.
Can you imagine your child dying and never having experienced that before, and they didn't even have somebody to tell them, you know, one day your kids are going to die.
Right.
So how would that have affected them? And then as time went on, you had deforestation and more people dying, and so right now I can promise you, somebody in Iraq is experiencing the end of the world.
Yes, as they know it.
Right, that's right. And so tomorrow they might be in paradise and it's our turn.
Right.
You know, it doesn't look like it. It looks like it's going to be like Iran and North Korea are next on the list.
Who knows?
Yeah, but it's and everybody who experiences this is surprised by it.
Right.
So don't even try to second guess when it's going to happen to you.
Exactly. I mean, so when I say a life-changing event, it just simply means it's the end of the world as you know it. You know, and even when I talk survival, people go, "Well, how do I know how much to prepare?" I said, "Well, preparing. You have to understand when you talk about survival and preparing, it's not about it being like it is today. At what point do you want your life to be comfortable?
How much toilet paper can you
How
do
much-
without?
Yeah, how much of whatever can you do without? Do you have to have air conditioning? Do you have to have this, or do you have to have that? What level of comfort are you willing to live at? That determines what level of survival you need to prepare for."
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of things in our life that we don't need at all. You don't need toothpaste. When I was in the Navy, that was the first thing they told us when they handed us our stuff. You know, if you don't have toothpaste, it doesn't matter. You got a toothbrush, that's all you need.
That's all you need.
But if you absolutely can't live without toothpaste, you better have some.
You better have some.
Or know how to make it.
Or right there, that's why we leave our black gum trees, because our great-great-grandparents, they chewed black gum twigs.
Oh yeah, that's right. You can,
Because it'll
kind of
fiber
break them up, you know.
It'll fiber up on you, yeah.
yeah. So, anyways, yeah. Honestly, when a lot of why I have everything I need to survive is because why wouldn't you? That's the whole point. It's like, why would I want to store everything I own down at the store? You know, I can bring it over here and store it just as good as they can.
I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong. If you spend your whole life getting ready for a survival situation and it never happens, you're okay.
It ain't like I ain't gonna eat that food.
Right, okay? You prepare nothing and something major happens and you die from starvation, then you were an idiot.
Well, I'll tell you what, we down here on the coast, and I'm sure you're not so far up that you don't have to worry about it. When hurricanes come,
Oh yeah,
and I don't think of one day as different than the other. If
Right.
it's my shopping day, I'm
Yep.
going shopping. So they go on TV and say there's going to be a natural disaster. I don't even process that. To me, it's just another day. But I'm stupid enough to go to the store to pick up whatever.
Whatever. Yeah.
And there's a million people there, and the shelves are stripped.
Sure.
And
And
I'm
you
like,
can't tell that to people in other parts of the country. They don't get it.
and I'm like, what? No. Do these people not have anything?
I mean, do they not have anything? I mean,
They wait till they hear there's a hurricane coming. They run for sandwich meat and bread for a week. And then they think everything's fine and dandy.
yeah, they think after a week everything's going to be okay. Look, I was 26 days here with no electricity.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't see that driveway right there. I had 300 trees down in this yard here. Literally piled on top.
Oh, yeah. That's about what we had.
I told people, I said, look, if you've ever been to a war zone, it was really a nice place to be, because in a war zone, things are picked. Targets are picked. I said, here, it was all done. This was worse than a war zone.
Oh, yeah, I was really, to this day, and people, y'all have seen my videos where I'm walking and I got those huge
Yeah, the
trees
big old
out
Spanish
there.
oaks in the yard, yeah.
People all the time saying you've got such a beautiful yard, and I don't want to tell people not to say that, but when they say that, I almost lose it, because before the hurricane, you know, those live oaks, they go up 100 feet and they spread out 500 feet,
Right.
and so they're pretty stable. But I had a bunch of gum trees and pines that were 150 feet tall
Wow.
that were just gone. You know, they were as old as them oaks.
Yep.
And so now I look out there and I see all these trees that are maybe this big around. That is not the paradise that everybody else sees.
I'm looking at the same thing here.
All this was true.
All this, the sun never hit the ground.
Oh yeah, my house, I cleared out. This is when I built my house, and people were offering to come up and do stuff, and Daddy was asking questions. I said, well, the house is 40 by 40.
Right.
I'm in a clear spot, 50 by 50, in a driveway. And that's all we're ever going to have. And one of the big mistakes I made was, at that time, I was already having failing health, and I knew that I was going to be limited in what I could do.
Yep.
And FEMA offered to, or the Corps of Engineers offered to come clear it up.
Came in.
And I said, okay, and so when they left, I had a desert. And that's not what I had envisioned. I envisioned them taking out the fallen trees, not everything.
Right.
And so now look at the parts that they couldn't get to, because, you know, some of my land is water. They couldn't go across the water to do anything. Well, the parts that I did myself are beautiful.
Right.
The rest of it is just a nightmare.
Yeah, that's the way it is here. That's why we are constantly, and I'll probably never live to see it get back like it was, but we're constantly planting more trees back. What we're doing permaculture this time around, we're putting in edible landscaping. That way, because, I mean, I don't know, I guess I can say this on camera. The thing about the ones when they come, let's just put it that way, to take what you have, most of them are only recognize what they see in a grocery store shelf.
That's right.
If they see a peach or a fig, or well, they don't even see a fig in a grocery store because it won't last on a shelf, but a peach or an apple on a grocery store shelf, they recognize that, and they come into your house and they see that stuff, then they'll take it. But if you have a landscape, an edible landscape out here, and you have trees, and the fruit is hidden in the trees, they have no clue what that is, because they were never taught what a fruit tree was or what it looks like.
And if it's not like an apple hanging,
right,
a little bitty
Hey, look,
I
all the time say, look, if my neighbors come over here to get my food and they hit their head on an apple on the way in, they won't pick it.
Right.
Because they're just that trained.
Yeah, when we started our YouTube channel, we told the people it's not about money.
And it's really not.
It's not about money for us.
Mm-hmm.
We're about getting information out while there's time. Because there is a movement right now to actually, because you know our internet service was turned over to the UN to monitor.
Yeah, people are sending me stuff all the time about changes that are happening, and as far as I'm concerned, I'm uploading videos. Mm-hmm. And when the videos don't upload anymore, I'll take it as a sign from God that either I have to quit or have to do something different.
Right.
Exactly.
Because I have no control over that, and I think it's almost, you have to be an absolute mindless drone to think you're going to go down and elect somebody and they're going to fix this world.
Exactly.
That's not going to happen.
Mm-mm.
It's not going to happen. I don't care. That's like, I don't care who goes in under the president or whatever. One man's not fixing this. This is a done deal. I mean, this is part of God's plan.
And there
it's
may
going
be
to happen,
leveling out time for a little while.
You may have lulls. Let me put it that. You may have a man come into office and it gives you a lull.
Yeah.
But
That's almost like, that's by design. It's like good cop, get bad cop. You
Yes.
inflict people with an oppressive dictator
right.
until you're around just as close. And then they send in, like Jimmy Carter, you know, peace, love, happiness.
the peanut guy, yeah.
And then next thing you know, you got whatever.
Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, Reagan or this one that the guy that's still president.
Oh, what's his
For a
name?
couple of more days.
Barack Obama.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, then you send in another one and another one. And you always make it, and when people are like, hey, the system never changes, you change the gender. You change the color. You do something to make them think they're getting a new deal.
Well, that's why people sit back and they think everything's going to change. Look, Solomon made the statement in, what is it, Ecclesiastes, there's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new.
A lot of wisdom.
What is been, has been.
Jesus was asked on several occasions, what will be a sign of your presence or your return?
Your return, yeah.
And he said, well, it's going to be like this. First, you're going to hear, there's going to be false prophets everywhere. And they're going to be saying food shortages, warfare, earthquakes, but don't listen to them. They're false prophets.
Right.
And so that's one of the reasons I had to leave church, because every church I went to was, we're near the end of times. There's food shortages.
Yeah, this is
warfare. The end of the world. Preppers.
Yeah. All this is happening. It's fixing to be the end of the world.
And so, you know, here it is. We're told that we can change things, and Jesus is basically saying, you know, even in that, it's like, this is the way it is. Because one of the things he said that's in every English Bible is, these are the birth pangs.
Yeah, right.
So it's like we've got this whole birth
yeah.
process. It's like a woman takes 9 months, but universes take a little longer.
Right.
So when this is over with, then you won't even think about all of it. And Jesus said that. He said when a woman's ready to have a baby, all she can think about is the pain.
Right.
But when she's got the baby,
she forgets it.
Yes, forget about the pain, because you're so happy that you got this new baby. That's the way the world works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that, you know, I'm looking forward to that. I'm tired of being in labor.
Man, you and me both. I'm tired of the birthing pains.
And you know, you think about it. Look at what you got and look what I got. And this world is filled with people that haven't got anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's one of the things. I mean, obviously, every human on earth needs to be complaining because this is not right. But at the same time, it's hard to complain when there's so many people that's worse off than you.
Yeah, but you know, at the same time, I have all these people who sit back and they make these comments about how great we have it. And to be honest with you, they have the same opportunity I had.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
I mean?
Well, I mean, honestly, I didn't enjoy joining the Navy. I didn't enjoy stocking shelves at a grocery store.
Right.
And I can understand somebody that would just say, I'm not going to do this.
I'm not going to do it.
But at the same time, if that's your choice, that's your choice.
You made that choice.
Yeah, I didn't make that choice. I mean, and I'm not going to lie, if my mom and dad was rich, and they were paying my way, I wouldn't get a job. No way. Hey, here's the plans for my house. Find somebody to build it. I ain't even going to do that.
I mean, I was 12 years old. I tell people I was out picking stuff in fields, you know. And by the time I was 15, I owned my own business. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's the era that we came up in. But some people go, well, at some point in your life, to have what you had to have made a lot of money. No, it's called not going out and eating every day. It's called not running to the movie shows every weekend. It's called not going anywhere, not doing the vacations, not doing all this stuff, but taking the money that I did earn and investing it back into a tangible object that I can lay my hands on, instead of giving it to the man down the road where he can put his hands on something, you know?
I did a video probably 4 years ago now called How to Build a House on Minimum Wage. And you wouldn't believe how many people come out and say, you can't do that.
Oh.
And it's like, well, obviously I can't say that you can or can't. I would imagine there's got to be some kind of workaround, because when I was building this house, I had to find workarounds.
Yeah.
I had to get people that were tearing down houses to get lumber for my house.
Yeah.
And I had to be out there. I had to go work somewhere for 40 hours so I could get home and spend 40 hours driving nails.
Yep.
And I didn't have a nail gun. You know?
Oh, no.
Wait a second, you were in construction. You must have had a nail gun.
I had a nail gun in construction, yes, but predominantly most of the time we used a hammer until I decided one day I gave up the old school way and realized that a nail gun was going to make me more production. But
He built a lot of stuff.
I
He
built-
still does.
I don't even use a nail gun now.
He uses a hammer.
I use a hammer.
One of my neighbors is a cabinet maker. And I went over, I was helping him one time because he's paying me a little bit of money
Right.
to go over and help him. And he was shooting his little, it's like a nail gun. Brads, yeah, that's right.
Nail, yeah.
And one of the things he told, I don't remember how the conversation came up, but he's old school and he said, you know, I must have spent 10 years looking at people using these things, saying I'll never do that.
I'm just looking at another one who did. I would take a hammer and take it out, make sure I didn't leave the elephant track, you know, from the hammerhead, and I'd take a center punch and tap it on down in when I could have just took a gun and just said tap, and it would have
You
been
truly
perfect.
are old school.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's,
Of course, I ain't building furniture, but I left a lot of elephant
yeah.
prints on my.
But yeah, it's even today to show you how old school I still am. For Christmas, I bought myself a cordless drill because mine had burned up.
It's funny.
In the barn the other day, I was out there, I had to do something in one of the stalls. I'm pulling out the extension cord, and I pull the extension cord all the way around there, and I hook up the cord drill, and I'm sitting there going, gosh, if this would be so much easier if I just used a cordless. and I got through with it, and I went back in the barn and rolled my cord all up, and I looked, and there it was, sitting on the shelf over there. I've been so used to not having it that I just didn't even think about it.
He had been wanting a cordless drill for 3 years now.
You know, I'm a human being. I'm a human being. I have the instinctive things that were put into me
Right.
at creation, and so honestly, my instincts tell me to take all my clothes off and go into the forest. But since that's illegal, and
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
allowed to do that, even
Right.
though people look at me as like the simple living guy. Without the forest, all I could think about is gadgets, you know,
Right.
a Harley Davidson
Yeah.
and the big screen TV
Yeah.
and one of them chairs that vibrates when you press a button.
Right.
But honestly, I do have this love-hate thing with gadgets. You know,
I do too.
On the way up here, I was using my GPS and I was like, thank God I have this, and I was cursing it the whole time because it kept sending me places where I didn't want to go.
We don't even have GPS. I mean, if I get ready to go somewhere, I've got to go on a computer and I got a Google map and I've got to print something out from
Well, maybe-
MapQuest or something.
I might need to leave mine with you and just press the home button on it so when you plug it in, it'll automatically tell you how to get to my house. I've been to that for years and
Yeah.
years and years. You know, I cut my grass and I made sure to wash my car and make sure the house paint looked good and all that stuff.
And then reality set in.
Well, you know, I did that so that people around me would love me. And one day
Yeah.
I said, okay, I'm not getting the results I want. These people hate my guts.
Right, yeah.
And I hate cutting grass.
Yeah, I hate cutting grass.
So-
I hate doing this.
So we're going to do a whole different system now. It's the same thing with my hair, you know. I mean, I remember when I was 16 years old crying because Mama wouldn't let me grow long hair. And here I was 50 with, a crew cut.
Crew cut, yeah.
And here was the turning point. Now, I've been thinking about for years that I want to grow my hair, but I didn't want the abuse that I knew I would get.
Yep.
And so one day my mom said, hey, you want to go out to eat? So we went out to eat, and she paid. It's Mama, you know, Mamas pay for
Right.
everything. So anyways, we go in there, and she told the people 3 senior citizens. And I had to show them my ID, and they're like, oh yeah, okay. And I thought, I'm a senior citizen, and I'm still cutting my hair the way they told me to cut it when I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
So that was it. I never cut my hair again. Yeah, that was it for me. No more hair cutting, no more grass cutting. And you know, when you make that jump into the water, you know, first thing you're just like in foot deep water,
Right.
and you just wait for the sharks.
Yeah.
And when they don't bite, you go 2 feet. You just
Yeah.
keep going out, you know. And right now, I can't even see land no more.
Yeah.
So there ain't no turning around, you know.
The turning point for me was, one thing I'll tell you, the major turning point for me was when my wife was dying. My wife cut my hair every day. I mean, literally every day. She would come around and nip the edges of it. She said, oh, it's not, it's this, it's that. You know, you gotta, the Bible says this, the Bible says that. And when she was dying, she looked up at me and she told me, she said, all the years I cut your hair, she said, I see the other side. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Let your hair grow. And at that point, I let my hair grow, and when I did, it was down on my shoulders and everything. My family, I mean, everybody was going ballistic. You know, they were like, "Oh my God, what has happened to you?" You know, I told him, I says, "Y'all read in the Bible where it says it's a shame for a man to have long hair." I said, "There's a question mark after that." The Apostle Paul was actually talking to a congregation of people that had others coming in, and he said, "You said it's wrong for a woman to wear a covering on her head. Is not her hair her own covering?" I said, "And read the next verse. Don't just stop there. As for the church, we have no such custom."
Yeah, you know, there you go. That's a good, I wish I'd have known you when I did my Bible hair video. Because I would have loved to have thrown that in there. I don't remember that. I looked at that verse, I broke it down to Greek, I compared it to Hebrew, and I was like, this is just so stupid. There's over 200 videos, or stories about don't cut your hair, and here's this one story that's saying everyone who don't cut their hair is going to hell when they die.
Exactly.
Now, who did this?
Yeah.
So it's wrong. Is God wrong?
No.
Yeah, you can get yourself in a little circle of like, well, wait a second, now I got to rethink my whole life. You know, when you're talking to your wife and your wife said it was all a waste or she had never done it, the reality is that there's a lot of different ways to learn truth, and usually being on your deathbed is a good way to learn it. But for those of us who are not on our deathbed, we can learn it from them.
Yes.
And for us that are children, we can learn it from adults. Well, obviously, it doesn't work that way because I had to do a lot of things in my life for myself and go, they were right. I shouldn't have done this.
Yeah. Oh, look, I've been down that road.
But,
Kids do it.
I mean, I had to, well, I'll say this. I think God had to smack me with a pipe every now and then.
One of the things that makes me a little different than most people is, like say, you know, you're listening to your wife, and you had to actually go through that.
Yeah.
But I'm one of these people, I can be watching an episode of Gilligan's Island where somebody stubs their toe and I want to cry. So I could learn real easy from suffering that isn't even real.
Yeah.
You know, but at the same time, I've lived long enough that I have got to experience those things anyway.
Right.
And honestly, it turns you around every time. Doesn't make no difference.
My kids were small. I homeschooled. I had 5 children, and I homeschooled. And when somebody was sick or somebody was dying or we had a funeral, I took my children. And I saw other people wasn't taking their kids. And I'm going, why are your kids not here?
Shield them from it.
We don't want them to see this.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've got a whole society of people now, 30 years later, that are in their 20s and 30s that were shielded as kids, so when something happens to somebody close to them, they don't know how to handle it and how to process it. They're having to learn as an adult to process it, when as a kid it would have become second nature. And I think that's a really bad deal for those young adults now.
Yeah, it's you don't want to jump into the deep end of the pool. You want to
as an adult never know how to swim.
Mm-hmm.
That it's kind of crazy, but I see. I mean, even some of our kids do that.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it seems bad now, but it's going to all work out for all of us. And I mean, honestly, this is my understanding of the Bible as it is. There's going to come a day when we're all back in the forest.
Yep.
And somebody's going to look over at a whole group of live oaks. That would be a good spot for a pyramid. Maybe if we get enough of us together, we can cut down them live oaks and start putting some rocks in there. And hopefully everybody else in the group is going to slap them.
Exactly, yeah. Everybody else is going to go, what? Have we already been there? You know?
Yeah, I mean, we got 6,000 years of that. What do you want?
Yeah, what do you want to do? Go back to this? You know?
Will 10,000 years work?
Well,
Who
I think
knows?
they do that over and over, though.
Yeah, so far it has. Well, you know, I mean, what was the first thing they did after the flood? You know, all them pyramids were underwater, and then where people landed, they weren't even close to the pyramids. They said, well, Babylon's a pretty nice place.
Why don't we just build us a big...
Not a pyramid, but a step pyramid, a ziggurat. That's different.
Yeah. But we can reach way up yonder again.
Yeah. And then, you know, how come I can't understand what you're saying?
Yeah. What happened?
Yeah, how come all of my kin is talking Chinese now?
We're all talking some kind of different language here.
Well, it gets weird.
God has a good sense of humor is all I can say.
Yeah, you know, the good thing about it is those people that lived at that time did not have a Bible that told them the history of
Right.
humanity, and plus they didn't have a prophecy. So there was nothing in there saying that one day Christ would return and he would
Right.
destroy all these buildings. But at the same time, at the very beginning, you know, when Eve and Adam were cast out of the garden,
Yeah.
first thing God did is, okay, first off, you're going to be a serpent, you're going to
Yeah.
lick dust all the days of your life, and guess what? You get to be the dust. Because that's what he told Adam.
Yeah.
Because dust you were made from, dust you're going to return. And each one of them knew something was going to happen over the course of time, and they
Right.
did get to experience the fulfillment of that.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's I guess everybody's got to learn over and over and over. And that's one of the things about the Bible. It's the same story told 200 times.
Yep.
And it's like, why don't you get it?
Our preacher was doing that too. He said, you know, if you were Adam, would you have done anything different? And most people go, oh yeah, I wouldn't do that. Would you? He'll say, really, you're human.
One of the things about Jehovah's Witnesses, and this is a real teaching of them, I don't mind going on camera to say this, is that Adam and Eve will have no resurrection because they were perfect humans and they chose to do wickedness even though they were perfect. But for the rest of us, we can get forgiveness through Jesus. And I'm like, well, you know what? I don't see that in writing. On top of that, a guy asked me a while back, he said, if you could go back in time, would you take that piece of fruit away from Eve? I said, it's all part of the program, brother.
Yeah.
If you do that, how do we learn?
How do we learn? Yeah.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that, but I got a better surprise for you than that. There's also more footage of Danny and Wanda interviewing me. So if you come back next week, you'll be able to watch a video of Danny and Wanda at the Deep South Homestead interviewing me. Sustenance and covering. So as always, I say goodbye, and if you don't want to survive, don't listen to me.